Hello class, this is Isa Marie speaking for Group 4. We have case study as our method for scientific inquiry. Oops. Okay, so description of the research method. What is a case study? So a case study is a form of research predominantly used in social sciences. The best definition of a case study is given by the British Medical Journal, which states that a case study is as an intensive, systematic investigation of a single individual group, community, or some other unit in which the researcher examines in-depth data relating to several variables. Using a specific case or phenomenon as a guideline or a basis for similar cases can help with further development of care and approaches. Researchers have stated that case studies examine complex phenomena in the natural setting to increase understanding of them. This is stated by Hill et al. 2018. A case study also allows for a more in-depth analysis of a complex issue in relation to a real-life setting or environment, and this is said by Crow et al. 2011. So what kind of study is it? Okay, so a case study is predominantly a qualitative study, but it could also sometimes be quantitative. Also, case studies draw more from human experience and statistical analysis. So qualitative emphasizes subjective experiences, with experience to draw from an isolated cases being examined. It is difficult to quantitate data. That being said, when there is a multiple case study that pulls information from more avenues, the data can become quantifiable, making it both qualitative and quantitative. So an example that we have provided for you guys is a case study on gender identity. And in this case study, it's was used to investigate if gender is inherent or taught. So this case study involves a man by the name of David Ramier, who suffered an accidental penile amputation as an infant and subsequently had gender reassignment surgery. He was raised as Brenda, and female gender norms were imposed on him in order to investigate whether gender is taught or inherited. So the data involved pulls from human experience rather than any quantifiable analysis. Okay, so, and if you're curious, the experiment was a catastrophic failure. Brenda was told the truth at the age of 15 by her parents and then underwent gender reassignment surgery to live out the rest of her life as David. Okay, so if there were multiple children who had all suffered the same injury at the same point in their lives, one would have multiple case studies to investigate and draw data from. So then this would make it a somewhat quantifiable study. In said case, the study will be both qualitative and quantitative. Okay, so what are the steps to using this method? So there are 4 steps for the case study method. So we have a foundation phase, a pre-field phase, a field phase, and a reporting phase. So the foundation phase involves posting the philosophical question that the case study is aimed to answer. So this is like your research topic question. The pre-field phase is used to develop the research tactics. The pre-field phase is used to develop the research tactics, identify the case in question, and establish a framework for the study and how you intend to use it to answer the question posed during the foundation period. Then we go to the field phase. So the field phase involves interaction with your participants in order to explore the phenomena from a human perspective. This is where the question posed in your foundation period is asked, and the answers are gathered through analysis and observation. Finally, the reporting phase is just that, the reporting phase. So participants should be fully aware at this point of their involvement in the study, and the results are now gathered, and ideally that foundation question is answered. So the results are subsequently presented or reported. So here we provided an example of a case study that's actually used as a research method. The study is basically just a focus on postural control impairments following a concussion. So the ultimate goal of this case study was to determine whether the recovery trajectory of pastoral control was consistent across different measures of pastoral stability and whether increased pastoral challenge, i.e. a sloped surface, reveals subtle pastoral impairments. So the study used a single subject who has suffered a concussion after an initial balance assessment 10 days prior to the research purpose. So a self-report system was used to determine symptoms 3 weeks post-injury as well as the balance assessment. So we have, this is a continuous slide. So the balance assessment consisted of testing the individual's pastoral balance with 25 and 30-degree slopes, as well as a flat surface during a time slot of 30 to 120 seconds. The results showed that the recovery phases of 3 to 4 weeks post-concussion was increased per degree level of the angle of the surface. So in conclusion, the study showed that there are persistent impairments in pastoral control following a concussion, regardless of resolution of behavioral symptoms. There was also considerable variability among symptoms, susceptibility, and recovery phases of individuals. Since there is a high probability of re-injury following a concussion injury, measures need to be taken to prevent premature returns to activities that can result in re-injury. Also, the study suggested that age, gender, athletic status, and concussion history need to be evaluated before an individual is allowed to return to play following an injury. So here I have two tables with the data analysis of the data collected during the case study. So I'm going to focus on this table over here. So this is the data collected from the case study. As you can see, as the days progress after initial pastoral control after initial injury, pastoral control continues to be affected up until day 21. It's not up until day 28 when you start to really see an improvement. This also goes in hand with their behavioral symptoms that were reported at day 14. As you can see that dip right there. So this is just to conclude that even if an athlete is cleared after 7 days post-concussion to return to play, they can still have balance issues. And it can be, so these balance issues can cause them to re-injure themselves easier. It doesn't need to be another concussion. It could be them hurting their knees or their ankles. Okay, so challenges and limitations. So there are challenges and limitations to every study, research study out there. So challenges and limitations specific to case studies include event-oriented, meaning that case studies are usually limited to an event, person, or group. Case studies are more prone to bias, as a researcher can input their own feelings and objectives towards the study. Case studies are also difficult to replicate, and other researchers may not get the same results, which can be a problem. They are time-consuming and expensive, as some case studies can take years for data collection and go out of their budget. Also, greater variability can be observed in case studies, as age, gender, race, and culture may not be considered. And also, sample sizes may not be adequate to gather significant data, and the data collected may not be able to be generalized. So I have a quote here from one of our references. Al-Balushi 2019 states that major challenges to case studies are based on generalization, validity, reliability, theory role, authority, and authenticity, dependency, and longevity of the case. So this concludes the presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it and gathered some significant information. Okay.